part of AFR. And now she won't need to wake up hours before the sun to keep us informed and encouraged every day. On the podcast, Sandy Rios 24/7, you can enjoy the knowledge, insight, and interviews you've always loved on Sandy's morning show. Sandy Rios 24/7, beginning the week of January 9th on AFR.net.
As Christians, we have to understand and be real with where we are.
That's what we have to see first, individually.
And where our mindset is and what we desire.
Airing the Addisons.
I think what God is really calling us back to, it's those individual personal revivals in our own lives where we're like, oh Lord, what have we done? We have minimized you.
Promoting truth, wisdom, and empowerment.
As the church, man, we should be on the forefront of making disciples, of indoctrination and godly things.
If we don't train our kids, they will not be able to stand.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Airing the Addisons.
On American Family Radio.
You're supposed to do all that before.
It doesn't matter how hard I try. It doesn't matter how much I think, ready. It doesn't matter. The Lord has a very consistent and public way of humbling me.
Well, I mean, I know.
Over. And over.
Being in
and
the studio.
over again.
Being in the studio, you get a little choked up being here with me.
Sure. That's and especially the way I was going to start off the program.
Ooh, what were you going to say?
Well, first let me just our team, okay? All right. Sweet Victory is here, okay? And J Mac is on tap to help us navigate the show. Both of them quite aware of my issues with my throat and just in life in general. And I appreciate them. So it's Friday. It's our Gumbo show. We do a recap, sometimes a little bit of a lighter show. We're going to take a look at some of the topics that we've discussed this week. Then also jog back over to Disney because Disney just won't go away.
Well,
Disney
they're restructuring and trying to.
Okay, so then let's revisit some of our conversation.
Right.
But no, the way I was going to start off the program is that I was going to say on Sunday, we talk a lot about marriage and family and the church and and those things are all important to us, looking at the way we engage culture with a biblical worldview from a strong biblical conviction. But this Sunday, we are going to be celebrating 18 years of marriage.
18 years.
Yeah. And so I just thought, how cool it would be if we started off the show and this just came to me with you just kind of talking about why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
So with me talking about how
let's see if you can get it.
What
do you think I'm going to say?
How blessed I am to be married to you.
That's very close. You use spiritual terms.
What were you going to say?
Just how great I am.
You are great. Nikki the Great.
You don't make this fun when you just go and.
But I have to tell. We have to tell the truth in this culture today.
Wow. You have to give me a hard time, which makes it funny. Remember these are the roles that we play. People expect me to be the funny one. You're the serious one. You have to give me a hard time.
I was just being serious.
Be a little. Yeah, that's true.
So,
okay. Let's go more toward the part of your personality that has made our marriage a success. Be a little bit stubborn.
I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or.
Well, let me just tell you, I was talking to one of your daughters, and she was talking about the type of man that she wants to be married to, and she was just saying, "Man," she goes, "I want to be married to a strong leader." She goes, "I don't want to be married to someone who is a pushover," and I really think that. Based on some of our other conversations, the fact that you're immovable, they often see you that way. I think that's had a huge influence on the type of man that she wants to marry.
Well, good.
Yeah, it's a gentle stubbornness, but it's a stubbornness nonetheless. I think most people don't get to hear that on this program.
I would like to call it being resolute.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Stubborn sounds negative to me.
There's a lot in our culture that sounds negative because people are unacquainted with it.
I mean, stubborn sound like a mule.
How about, how about steadfast?
Yes.
Immovable. Always abound.
Yes.
Okay. I think resolute is the word. And I think that's one of the things, just looking back, So we are going to celebrate 18 years on December 4th.
Yes.
I'm super excited about that. And one of the things that I remember in the first year of marriage, people constantly said to us, oh my goodness, are you guys so excited? You're newlyweds. And if you remember, my response was always, yeah, this is great, but I'm really looking forward to years under our belt, because I had the sense of it's just going to get better. I think the more you know someone,
definitely,
the deeper that relationship is, and you
Yes.
you're not so easily offended. You can laugh at the things that are kind of confusing, and in the first year of marriage, you don't really have that. You know, not if you do it the Lord's way, because you haven't practiced.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you
you're
haven't.
right.
And so, and I'm not saying that to be prideful. I'm just saying that to be a statement of fact. The Bible has a prescription for how we're to do marriage, and
Definitely.
how we're to do it before we're married,
Definitely.
right? So, anyway,
Yeah.
but I was always looking forward to getting to this, to getting to the place where we just know each other, and there were not these questions about motives and intent and are you serious, and just kind of being able to, not that we don't have any of that. I mean,
Right,
because we're
right.
human, there's still opportunities for clarity, right? Which is always
Definitely.
good. But it's not like it was in the first year where you just don't really know, and you're learning.
Yeah. You learn a lot. I mean, you get closer.
Yeah.
Life happens and life makes you closer, and it's way different from the beginning, and there's a lot more comfort, like a greater comfort level,
sure.
and a lot more understanding, and even understanding yourself.
Yeah, that's so true.
Because early on you may think all types of things, and you find out really quickly that you don't.
Tell me one of the things, I'll tell you one of mine. Tell me one of the things that you thought you knew about yourself that you would have said you were certain about, as it pertains to describing yourself, that once you were married, you learned, okay, that's actually not what I thought.
I thought that I was able to communicate my feelings clearly.
Because you're a poet, because you write poetry.
Yeah, I do. Well,
Yeah.
I used to.
Well, you used to write poetry.
But I found that, man, I had a very big, I guess, gap in communication skills. Like I didn't really, like I found out, I always knew that I was more reserved, more laid back, but I thought I was pretty clear in communicating how I felt. But I have learned I have to dig a little deeper to be more detailed in my communication, to explain a little bit better, what I'm meaning, because I tend to be just short, not in a like,
not rude,
not in a
but
rude
just matter
way,
of fact, you
but
get
like
to the point
not many
quickly.
words. Yeah. And
Yeah.
sometimes things require more words.
Yeah.
You have to give more detail. And so that was when I thought, hey, people understand me. You don't have to say all of that. Sometimes you have to say all of that. You have to explain. So that's one thing, communication.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, I thought that, and I think I told you this before we were married, that I don't cry a lot. I'm not an emotional person. I'm passionate about what I'm convicted about, but I'm not emotional, and I'm probably tougher than you think, that kind of a thing. And then we got married, and then I realized that it is because probably that I had not loved anyone in this way or cared about what one person thought about me and the way that I cared about how you thought about me. You know what I mean? And that was new to me. I thought I was super tough. Like I thought I was just like, like chain metal, kind of nothing to getting in. And, know. And then we got married, and I remember just crying all the time. Like, what do you mean by that look?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
Is that, did I do something to embarrass you? Because we have totally different personalities.
Right.
And you do not like to draw attention to yourself.
No.
I love it. Hey, y'all, what you doing? Like super, just, I've toned down a lot. People are like, really? This is the toned down version? It is. Folks, it is.
It is.
If you'd known me like 20 years ago, you'd be like, whoa, I can't believe.
I think we both rub off on each other, because I think I have become more outgoing, even though people say, you're outgoing. Like, yes, compared to how I was.
This is so true.
So I think that's something that happens in marriage. You begin to rub off on each other. There's certain things that you compromise and you stretch. You have to work harder. You have to give a little. So you become better, I believe. You become better. as a result of marriage.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know this past week there are some things going on in our family and with you in particular, and I was just kind of walking through those things and talking to you about these things in front of the kids. And Gabby said, oh, that you guys still love each other that much. Oh, like,
Wow.
and we're like, of course, like, and this should be comforting to you.
Yeah.
That we still care about each other and that we still,
that you can see that we love each other. That's important.
Yeah, I think the thing that we miss so much, and it's such a huge opportunity that we have in marriage, is we miss that marriage, and this is, I'm going to say, it is because marriage has been redefined, not just in the current context that we're talking about, topics of the show that we've had here recently, not just in that way, but marriage has been redefined among those who have the basic definition that it is between a man and a woman. There has still been a redefinition of sorts. And I think simply to say it, it's that we have really thought that marriage is supposed to make us happy. And I think that, and it's because of fairy tales. It's because of the movies. It's because of the cartoons that we grew up watching. We're all victims of that, whether we recognize it or not. Certainly we recognize it once we get married.
Right.
But if we go into marriage understanding and embracing that marriage makes us holy, you can see the endurance that is required.
Yeah.
You can see how you've got to be in it for the long haul because there is a sanctifying work in this.
That's definitely that.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you jump off the potter's wheel prematurely,
Right.
then, you're like disfigured cup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And even as people of God, we should be more desirous of holiness than happiness.
Yeah.
The fleeting happiness, and I think people have made that mistake. A lot of people have made that mistake because there will be some unhappy times in marriage. It won't always be this, picture that you get on movies and stuff like that.
When is that coming for us? when is that?
That
Is there
time
a
you didn't make my meal. I was hungry and you didn't want to. You didn't want to cook. Remember that time?
No.
I was unhappy.
I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, listen. Cereal is a meal. Okay, breakfast for dinner is what we call it around here, and cereal, good almond milk on top of some muesli.
Some what?
Muesli? I don't know. I've just seen it in stores. I don't think I've ever bought it. Maybe if you make me really mad, that's what I'll get you.
No, don't do it.
It's a thing, muesli. I think it's a thing. Anyway, I may be saying it wrong, but it's a thing. No, but you're so right, though, because you do have those times where you're unhappy, and that's where the covenant comes into play, right? That's where that this is for my sanctification, and this is for my growth in the Lord.
Point.
Yeah.
It's a great point because I think we have to do a better job in our churches in instructing what marriage is and the commitment of it, the covenant. Commitment in marriage and that should happen, before people get married. Like you should understand that this is for life. Like this is it, I think we have to really press down on that, especially in the times that we're living in when they throw out things like no fault divorce and things like that. No, the people of God, like we don't submit to that. So I think we have to do a better job, even as the body of Christ, in instructing on what marriage is and that it's a commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I say this not to beat up on us as Christians, but to own the responsibility that we have. Yeah. It is our failure to celebrate and to announce, loudly God's design for marriage in a heterosexual context, which is the only definition of marriage. But it has been our failure to celebrate and to protect that has really opened the doors for massive redefinition. Like I think once we get to the place where we're able to own that and to say, man, we've had some failures. We didn't do it right, but we're committed to acknowledging that and moving forward, which is healthy, right? To acknowledge your failures and repent and to move forward, then I think we're going to just continue to see the decline and the redefinition of marriage in our culture. No one can effectively redefine marriage because the definition of marriage is inherent to the institution. It presents itself as it's defining itself as it's presented, right? Like what it is. And everybody knows it's rooted in anthropology. It's rooted in the things that we value, that we define as marriage. And so anyway, I'm excited that this weekend I'll celebrate 18 years being married to you. It has been incredible.
Years.
I hope for 1,800 more. All right, no, I'm just kidding. All right, Aaron the Addisons. We'll grab the break. This is American Family Radio. Stay close.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
The credit card debt happened when my daughter was born. I was using one credit card account to roll over into another credit card account, and it was snowballing.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-788-1813.
When I first called Trinity, the representative understood the need based on the situation. They were great people to work with. From the first phone call that I made, they had me on a track to mitigate the credit card debt.
Trinity will consolidate your accounts into one easy-to-manage monthly payment, reduce your interest, and possibly improve your credit score. You'll save thousands.
Working with Trinity gave me the ability to save thousands of dollars. My name's Doug, and thanks to Trinity, I'm debt-free for keeps.
Call Trinity at 1-800-788-1813. That's 1-800-788-1813.
This is Bible League International, urging you to support our persecuted brothers and sisters around the world. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Pastor Rous's 3 children were kidnapped and murdered by a terrorist cell that hates Christians. Instead of retaliating, the church shared the gospel with neighboring villages, and would you know it, 200 have come to Christ. Some of those affiliated with that terrorist cells, they're praying for Bibles. And elsewhere, Ephraim's store was destroyed in Cairo, Egypt by radicals opposing the Christian tracts that he displayed on the counter of his convenience store. He has no money to rebuild, but he has shared the gospel with those who persecuted him, inviting them to Bible studies in his home, and over 100 have come to Christ in the Middle East. They're praying for Bibles. Our goal is to bless 16,000 Bibleless persecuted believers with their very own copy of God's Word. We're a third of the way there, so at $5 a Bible, $100 sends 20. In this season of giving, would you pray about it and then call 800-YES-WORD, 800-YES-WORD, or give it sendbiblesnow.org, sendbiblesnow.org.
John Bunyan's epic masterpiece, streaming now.
We have to get out, Christiana. It says so in this, and I believe it in here.
You're asking me and the children to follow you beyond the borders.
It's this weight.
The Pilgrim's Progress.
Keep that light in your eye and go straight towards it. Do not turn to the right or to the left. Keep
on the straight path.
This Christmas, experience the most important journey your family may ever take.
I will not fail him, you deceiver, you liar.
You will go no further.
Streaming now, free only for a limited time. Visit afa.net/pilgrims. That's afa.net/pilgrims.
Oh, my bad. I've been all in my bag. I know they won't like that, but I must side with my dad.
To the transgenders, none of my business. If you choose to become a new you, do what you do. It's your choice, but just because you view gender as a feeling doesn't mean I do too. Yo, this is not meant to offend you. I'm not against you. I'm against an agenda that tells a child the feelings rendered to gender without the scientific evidence ever.
Wow, welcome back. Sarah and the Addisons on American Family Radio. It's the Friday edition, which means you get a lot of deep content, even in the music, right?
Even in the music.
My goodness.
You know,
I'm
need some
Miki.
deep content in the music. And I'm Will, and that's Dayton featuring Bizzle with My Bad.
Yikes. You know, I always say about rappers, it's one thing to communicate a thought. So basically, at a basic level, he's saying the kinds of things that we say in conversation on this program.
Yeah.
Okay. But to put it,
make it rhyme and
my
put it
goodness.
over a track and have this cadence in which you're rapping.
how do you, I just don't, and I know, and there are people who say, I just
think
don't
you could do it.
understand rap.
I think you could do it.
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe we could do a challenge. I wouldn't want to embarrass myself. I know where my lane is. But I know there are people who say I don't understand rap, but I'm just like, But think about it, though. The person, now, when this is true, this is not always true in rap.
Right.
I mean.
Right. And it's not always true in CMH, whatever
No,
call,
it's
CCH,
not. I mean, right.
call.
But they got a little bit longer time to try to put things together that
True,
don't make
true.
sense. I'm saying in rap, it's moving so fast.
Yeah.
And then, and because we always were obviously listening for the content. So when you hear these plays on words and you hear them making these deep theological points, I'm just like, how?
Mm-hmm.
How, Sway?
How?
I just don't understand. Anyway, all right, let's recap the week as we look back, because then what we'll do is we'll open the phone lines. I'm going to say at the beginning of the last segment, just because in response to what the current events are, we do have some video clips that we want to play for our listeners today. But on Monday, our show topic was buy truth and do not sell it. Again, living in a culture that is compelling us to tell lies. The encouragement is to keep telling the truth and to not apologize for that and to not ask permission, but to keep telling the truth. The comfort and the encouragement that we have as Christians is that the truths that we espouse are self-evident. You don't have to dig down deep for the truth that we are espousing on a regular basis. Like, and I wish that more Christians were comforted by that, or dare I say, convinced of that. I wish that more Christians were convinced of that. And then on Tuesday, lovers of pleasure mark difficult times. And this kind of goes back into the whole Disney thing, because Bob Iger has come back to Disney and people believe that the sun has come out tomorrow. They're betting their bottom dollar. Among them is incredible investigative journalist Christopher Rufo. Now, Christopher Rufo has done some amazing work. He has
definitely
uncovered and exposed and presented to the public incredible content. I mean, it was Christopher Rufo who took us into these like Slack channels and let us hear people talking about how they were just,
Here's a virtual question. Many cast members had wished that
content that they possibly could. It was Christopher Rufo who did that. It's Christopher Rufo who uncovered all kinds of documents to expose the teaching, the peddling of critical race theory inside schools. And now it is Christopher Rufo who has brought to us the first clips of Bob Iger facilitating a town hall with the employees of Disney. So it's sort of a, welcome back. So where are we now?
Right.
And I think even as this is circulating, Christopher Rufo feels like this is Disney.
They're moderating, or they're having a more neutral stance. They're trying to but I don't believe that.
So you sent me this clip on Tuesday night. You sent me this clip on Tuesday night, or I don't know, whenever you sent it. I saw it on Tuesday night before I was beginning to read my bedtime book. Okay. And then I just said, no, I don't see it. And so this was Tuesday night, and here's what I said to you, and we're going to play the clip because I think our listeners, maybe if they haven't heard it at this point, they need to hear it to have a little bit of context. My thought on this is that what Bob Iger did in this town hall was paint a color on the wall that is whatever color the person looking at the wall wants to see. Okay, so it's like a bluish green type color, where a person walks in the room and they say, "Oh, I love what you've done with the place. That's a great green color." And then another person walks in and says, "Oh, I love what you've done with this room. This blue is perfect." And it's like whatever you walk up to the wall within your mind, that's what you see. And I feel like that's what,
like a politician.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And I feel like too many, because again, lovers of pleasure, I feel like too many people are like, yeah, see, I knew it. I knew that Disney would come back to us. But again, as we've already said, it was Bob Iger who began sort of like lurching Disney away from you, if you will. And there's some people who would argue that no, even before then, but he was the one who understood, where his loyalties needed to be expressed and began to move Disney in that direction. So I'm not at all comforted by his town hall comments. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for Christopher Rufo. I just think he's wrong on this.
Yeah.
I think, and as I told you on Tuesday evening, I said, you know, we got to put our arms down. You know, we're running through the tape. We're like, what did I said, we're like, dun, 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 dun. It's like, no, you're not there yet. Like that's not what's happening. In this town hall, Bob Iger was asked about Disney's reaction to the parental rights in education law that was passed in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
You'll hear in this clip that it's called the Don't Say Gay bill, right? It's the parental rights in education. Very basic understanding that parents have the rights over their kids' education, what they do and do not learn, okay? So this is clip 2 where Bob Iger is asked a question about this bill down in Florida, this now law down in Florida. And this is clip 2. Here we go.
All right, another virtual question. What is your stance on the Don't Say Gay situation?
Well, first of all, our LGBTQ employees are very important to us, and we care deeply about them. That is a given. Secondly, this company has been telling stories for 100 years, and those stories have had a meaningful, positive impact on the world. And one of the reasons they've had a meaningful, positive impact is because one of the core values of our storytelling is inclusion and acceptance and tolerance. And we can't lose that. We just can't lose that. I think about Black Panther and the impact that had on the world, or a film like Coco. I mean, I could go on, and how we actually changed the world for the good. It must continue.
Man, this green color.
No,
I love.
It's teal.
Okay, yes,
It's not
it is.
green.
It is. It is actually, Peter. It is. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Let
I
me
see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. When you begin your comments, okay, by talking about who you care about, all right, and then you go into the core value discussion. All right. So you set up the core value discussion by saying inclusion, acceptance, and tolerance. This is all diversity, equity, inclusion language.
Right.
Like it's been around for a long time.
Right.
So now everything that is built off of that foundation will strongly suggest that these are the values that will continue to be woven into what we produce here. But then what you do is you bring in an example. So you say Black Panther because, you got
to give a
race.
nod to,
Because now what you want the people listening to hear when you say inclusion, acceptance, and tolerance, you want them to hear something that they agree upon. Like, I agree that ethnicity is not something that we should discriminate over. Like, a person that is immutable, they cannot control that. So you've got to bring in that sort of like perspective where people say, yes, I agree. But then you continue and you say, we're going to continue on with our core values. But the core values that you have historically brought to your content, based on everything that was exposed, even by Christopher Rufo himself, is that when you guys are talking about diversity and inclusion, you're talking about varied sexual practices.
Right.
And you're
It's
talking
already
about
been
varied
exposed.
sexual identities.
Right.
So we understand that you even came out, against Chapek, that the company, that he needed to say something. So now all of a sudden, you're going to come in again as the warrior with the sword, and you're going to make everything right. I think the question is, what's the context of what he's talking about? I do hear in his comments, though, we care about our LGBTQ plus employees.
That's what he said.
Okay. And so what I hear him saying there is that we're not going to take up the cause of like the nation. But what I also hear him saying, and this is going to be clip 3 here, I also hear him making an argument that we make on a regular basis, however, from a different perspective, a different conviction. So while he's saying we care about our employees, we're committed to our core values, right? He doesn't see his conviction or their conviction, their core values. He doesn't see those things as political in nature, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about these quote unquote cultural issues, we actually agree.
Mm-hmm.
These issues are not political.
That's right.
They are moral.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to play clip number 3, and then I want to come out of this and have a conversation because I want us to be able to increase our discernment, to be able to really listen when people are talking and understand what they're expressing. This is clip 3.
When you tell stories, it's a delicate balance. You're talking to an audience, but it's also important to listen to an audience. It's important to have respect for the people that you're serving, that you're trying to reach, and not have disdain for it. That said, we're not going to make everybody happy all the time, and we're not going to try to. And we're certainly not going to lessen our core values in order to make everybody happy all the time. So it's complicated, and there's a balance, but I at one point I said, we do what we believe is right, and then someone criticized me for saying, well, who are you to say that that's right? Well, when you're in a job like mine, or you are responsible for the storytelling that many of you are responsible for, you get paid to have a sense for what is right. Not everybody will agree with you. That's just not the way the world is these days. But it doesn't mean you should stop trying to do the right thing.
So please, so in other words, as the storytellers, as the animators here at Disney, we kind of stand in the role of God. We determine what is right. We get paid to have a sense for what is right. Okay, and where does that sense come from? What do you, is it an inkling that you have? Is it what becomes culturally normative? Is that what kind of propels how you stand on these issues, right? But notice also what he's saying is that, guys, we don't want to upset our money base. You guys have upset
That's what
parents.
It comes down to. Yeah.
Okay, you've been too overt in this. And how do I know that? Now, of course, I am not going to pretend to read his heart.
Right.
I'm not going to pretend to read his heart. But I'm going to look at the money that he donates to Democratic causes and to Democrats themselves. And I'm going to look at his position and the fact that even his coming back has been welcomed by those who are in this community. Why? Because he's an ally. So how do you suppose that an ally is saying, now all of a sudden I'm going to distance myself from those I've allied myself to or with? No, he's absolutely not. What he's saying is we have an obligation to do what's right. So the people who want the room to be green, okay, the people who want the room to be green, their definition of right becomes, moral, from the moral lawgiver, God himself. See, he wants to do what's right. The people who see the room as blue are like, no, because what is right is that love wins. What is right is that we simply reflect what is happening in the culture. And so see, what he is saying is that we've got to do what's right, but we've got to be more subtle. So everybody walks out seeing the room the color they want to see it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Here's what I'm saying to Christians. No.
Simply, huh?
You violated our trust. Like, why would I trust you with my kids? Like and I was telling you, I was giving you an example of the kind of like subtle things that Disney has done over the years and just talking about this. And there are things that you hear it. And there's I'll use this really quick example because then we've got another clip that I want to play before we go to the break. And by the way, I'll open the phone lines, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. It's a Friday Gumbo show. Everything goes into the pot within reason. But there's the song from the movie Encanto, right? There's the opening song with Mirabel. And Mirabel is singing this song about the family. And there's a line in the song where she's talking about how her family became the family and who they all are, right? And then she says, she sings, 2 men fell in love, and then they became a part of the family madrigal. Now, the pictures show that it's the 2 uncles who marry into the family. Okay, the mom and the sister, these 2 men. But the line is 2 men fell in love. And that's how they became a part of the family madrigal. Now, I know people are like, oh, Miki, come on, you can't be like reading everything. No, but those are the types of subtleties that I believe Iger wants to return to, where you can slowly change people's minds over these issues. I wish that Christians understood that this industry that we're talking about is an industry that has no fear of God in their eyes. And why would they need to have that? They've made billions of dollars. And I'm not just talking about Disney. I'm talking about the entertainment industry in general. They've made billions of dollars from people who just want to suspend reality in whatever form that is.
Yeah.
Why would they need to go back to reality that God is the moral lawgiver? He has written his law on our heart. We don't get to call audible and determine what is right. God has already said what is right.
That's right.
All right, Aaron the Addisons, American Family Radio. We'll come right back. Take your calls. Stay right there.
Dear 1 Million Moms, I've always thought that maybe your organization was making a mountain out of a molehill. But today, I cannot believe what I just saw on my TV.
Concerned about the trash flowing into your home through today's media that simply will not censor itself? Make your voice heard. If you see trash in the media, tell us. Use the Submit Trash button at 1millionmoms.com. That's 1millionmoms.com. And thanks.
AFR programming is now available on Alexa.
You're joking, right?
Nope, not joking.
Seriously?
Yep, this is not a drill.
Wait a minute. No way.
There's a way, the Alexa way. So if you just happen to miss your favorite shows, no worries. You can now listen to each podcast with Alexa. It's simple and it's free. Just visit afr.net/apps and click Alexa. We're not joking.
Hey, this is Steve Tiber with 8 Days of Hope. Do you know over the last 2 years, Southwest Louisiana has faced multiple storms, including Hurricanes Laura, Delta, and Zeta. 8 Days of Hope sent our rapid response teams to help in these areas after Hurricane Laura hit Lake Charles and again after the flooding in 2021. Well, today we're excited to announce that our 18th rebuilding trip will take place in Lake Charles from December 3rd through to December 10th. Thousands of volunteers will gather from around the country to love and serve this community by helping them repair their homes that were affected by these disasters. We're going to focus on roofing and drywall, painting, electrical work, flooring, and so much more. We can't wait to see what God is going to do. So there's a couple ways you can help with this mission. First, pray. Pray that God will speak through our actions to each family and make himself known. Second, consider volunteering. It's free, and we provide the food and the lodging. Hey, go to our website, 8daysofhope.com, read the FAQs, and you can volunteer right there. Again, that's 8daysofhope.com.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for healthcare. And here's why. Not only is it open enrollment for a lot of people, it's also a time you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. And it's true, the typical family switching to MediShare saves $500 or more a month, which is obviously huge for a lot of people, but what's more, they like it. MediShare has double the customer satisfaction rate compared to health insurance. Double. There are 400,000 members. They've shared over $4 billion in medical bills, and it really is a great community too. People encourage and pray for each other. And here's the thing, if you join MediShare Complete right now, they'll waive your new member fees and you'll save an additional 10% off all of 2023. That's right, no fee to join, 10% off every month of next year, but it's a very limited time offer. You have to sign up before December 31st. Great savings, great health care. Find out more. Call now, 833-44-BIBLE. That's 833-44-BIBLE, 833-44-BIBLE.
Somebody gotta do it. They coming for your rights, can you pay attention? Hey, now you see the ones protected by the system. Hey, they raided Trump's house, why they ain't raided Clinton's? And for this of Hunter Biden, but he ain't in prison. Took the justice system, but they want you to forget.
I spoke to a number of people kind of up and down.
Question. Many cast members had wished that Disney stayed out of politics. Will Disney stay out of making political statements?
You know, I think there's a
Leaves here. One told me, for example, Iger is such a master politician that pretty much everyone at Disney was initially pleased with his comments, but then realized he didn't say much either way. And so to that point, I've been told that left-wing activists at Disney walked out of that town hall meeting really feeling that Iger reaffirmed the company's commitment to promote their causes. However, by the end of the day, employees in the LGBT Pride Slack channel were broadly hypothesizing that Disney allowed its latest animated feature, Strange World, to bomb on purpose. Essentially, their theory was that executives didn't put much marketing muscle behind it because its failures give them an excuse not to center more films on LGBT characters. So that is not to say that there's any merit to that speculation. I only pointed out to say this is where the discourse within Disney is right now.
Okay, so welcome back. Aaron the Addisons, American Family Radio. I'm Miki.
And I'm Will.
All right. That was Daily Wire's Megan Basham.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go to the phone lines here, but can I just say that makes my point perfectly, and I'll just expand with this one thing. The fact that the LGBTQ plus employees over at Disney think that Disney intentionally let Strange World fail so that they could lurch back to morality shows the hubris in the belief that, no, people want this. You know, it's not that the parents were like, you're not going to expose my kids to this. I'm not going to let you have these conversations with my kids through animated films.
Right.
It couldn't possibly be that.
Right.
There's no way that people don't want this. It's got to be that Disney didn't put the dollars into the marketing, into the promoting. So that right there tells you the kinds of people who want to handle content that your kids consume. Like what?
Wow.
I just, there's no like, oh, maybe people don't want to present this message to their young children.
Yeah.
Maybe they do want to preserve the innocence of their children. No, that's not it. It's that Disney didn't put enough in the marketing of this movie. They let it fail so they didn't have to bother with it ever again. Do you this?
Delusional.
So again,
yeah.
Right? Like this is what we're working with.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. 888-589-8840. It's the Friday Gumbo Show. Will the Great, where are we headed?
All right, let's go to Mark in Virginia. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Addisons.
Hello.
I just last week or 2 weeks ago on a Friday, you were talking about the betta fish that you have, and I think his name is Crusher.
Yes. That's right.
And so I just wanted to recommend that you get some budgies. They're commonly called parakeets, but there's a lot of different kinds of parakeets, and so I like budgies, and I think that you'd have a lot of fun if you had those.
Okay, so like a bird.
Right.
Okay, hold on, Mark. Just stay there. So what kind of maintenance are we talking here? Like what's like we're all in doing what? What are we doing?
Well, you mean what do you have to do for them?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to clean the cage every, other day or every couple of days. Mainly the bottom of the cage. You also have to regularly clean the perches off. And then you have to feed them and water them every day.
Yeah,
right.
Mark. It sounds like a kid. Sounds like another kid.
That's a no for me, dog.
I'm just kidding, Mark. Mark's like, that's a horrible thing to say. Now, Mark, if you had said, y'all, this is just real radio. Mark, if you had said, oh yeah, maybe, you clean the cage once a week, maybe once every other week, and they miraculously don't get anything on the perch. But I see myself going in there and do and wiping down the little perch and every other day, like cleaning out a cage. That goes back into the category. So that's one of the reasons we don't have a dog. We constantly tell the kids that when we have someone when we no longer have anyone in diapers, okay, we can, consider getting a dog.
Probably like, well, you have kids who are older, they can do it.
Yeah, but we still have one kid in a diaper.
True.
Okay, we still have one kid in a diaper.
His cage. Yeah. He's not in the cage, y'all. He's
not
in the cage.
Now that's a right-wing watch clip. Aaron the Addison host, Will Addison confesses kid in cage.
Oh, man.
The Christian religious zealots who cage their kids. That's a joke, people. All right? I will say this, though. And people say, no, your kids will learn to clean. And they'll, yes, that is possible. But if the bird belongs to Sam Witt, which Crusher is Sam Witt's fish, if the bird belongs to Sam Witt, then that means that you and I are cleaning the cage.
Yes.
Just last night, I had to, no pun intended, I had to fish out popcorn from the
Timmy strikes again.
the fish aquarium, like the tank. And I just go, what is that floating? Because when popcorn starts to kind of like, what is it? Get mushy, break down, dissolve? I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought, what is that floating in the? Oh, it's a piece of popcorn, Timothy.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. We probably need older kids, all of them, before we bring in something bigger than a fish or a turtle. I just wouldn't want to be responsible for the sweet little budgie that. Oh, I can't even imagine.
No.
I don't even. Hey, but I'll look it up though, Mark. Thank you so
Mark.
much for that suggestion. I appreciate it. Will the Great, where do we go next?
All right, let's go to Camilla in Iowa. Is that right? Where are you, Camilla? Okay. Go ahead.
In Iowa. Yes, I am. Hi there.
Hello.
Mine's not gonna be so fun.
Oh,
okay.
I'm hearkening back to Monday, I believe, when you were talking about the differences in what's expected of marriage between the straight and homosexual community.
Yes.
And I'll tell you a little story about a good friend, the first friend I had to die from AIDS. And he, finding out that he had it, so I was born in 1957, and I fully partook of all the eras. Okay, let's don't go anywhere other than that. I came to the Lord at 35. Okay, so he was shocked that he had AIDS because he said, Camilla, I only have, maybe 1 or 2 different partners a week. And what that meant was that instead of going out nightly to the clubs and engaging in, let's just say, multiple, that he was unusual.
Wow.
Okay? So that's the kind of thing. I didn't hear the end of your story that day, but I don't know whether you got into those types of details. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not offending children. But the thing is, I have known monogamous long-term gay men, and I know we're not disputing that those exist. But that is what I spoke of was more the norm. Let's look at nature. The male needs to be ready at all times. The female needs to guard the body for procreation. When you have all men, you have a free-for-all.
Yeah.
The difference between people don't talk that much about the difference between gay men and gay women. They're completely different animals. Women are looking for relationships. Women are looking to create community. And when I had access to this community, it was back in a time where you could lose your job if you found out you were gay. So the women created you've heard Rosario Butterfield or Laura Perry, explaining that the Christians creating community and welcoming her into their home was what brought her out of the lifestyle.
Powerful testimony.
But,
yes.
Yeah, but those are the things I just wanted to share.
Oh, Camilla, thank you. Excuse me. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, that's exactly the point that we were attempting to make, that this whole idea of monogamish, that because the basis, or because the starting point, the foundation of what even is called marriage when you move away from God's standard is a deviation.
Yeah.
Everything else is a deviation. Even the idea of monogamy is not God's definition of monogamy. Like this, and so, yes, ultimately the point that I was attempting to make is what you rightly pick up on, that we are not talking about the same things.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the same outcomes, the same desires at all. And so even to give up ground where people would be willing to call that marriage, I think is losing. It's losing for the Christians. And anyway, I appreciate you calling and sharing that with us, Camilla. Thank you so much. Will the Great, where do we go next?
All right, let's go to John in Texas. Hi, John.
Oh, hello there, young people.
Hello.
I'm an old people. In 58, I was already 10, so that lady says she didn't get started until 57. I was lucky. My mother introduced me to James Dobson's Love Must Be Tough, probably about 1960 or 61 when Carla came through here. But that's a sad story. I just got that one while I was listening to y'all. What I wanted to say was in 56 or 7, they hadn't stolen the word gay from us yet. The books that we were reading in our Houston public schools, which that's a whole other story also, they would talk about Little House on the Prairie type stories, and the mother was gay or the children were gay, and it was a completely different meaning then.
Yes.
And now my fear is what I told your screener, is going to the card store and buying someone a nice card, and it's got all these colors on it, and I don't know whether to buy it or not, whether it's something they've stolen or is it something I need to worry about. I just I don't want to take my 21-year-old granddaughter one of these big $10 envelopes with the wrong flag on it. And it's just something I came in the kitchen here where the radio was on 24 hours a day, and I caught the tail end of what he was saying about his people being so well liked in his industry. And the only other thing I would add to you is we've been boycotting California for at least 4 years. They stopped giving you your money back several years ago when you went on the 2-week period where they had the whole week was queer. And so we stopped going. And when I say we, I'm talking about a whole bunch of people here. There's about 10 large churches here in the Woodlands, Conroe area that if we decide to shut somebody down, we're going to do it.
Good for you guys. John,
Thank you,
let me
John.
tell you, I think indeed all across the country there were so many families who said, hold on a second, we're not giving you our money. And this has been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
I would just say this. Well, because I think John was asking a question about, rainbows, I think, and colors and things like that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate what Ken Ham and the folks over at Answers in Genesis are doing. I really appreciate that they are getting back to the truth of what the rainbow is, God's bow in the sky, that he has given this as a promise to us. And it is a reminder of God's judgment, but it's also a reminder of his grace.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's not to say that everybody's got to wear it, but I would say this, we don't have to fear it. You know what I mean? We don't have to, and so we can use wisdom, but it also becomes an opportunity to take people to the scriptures. That's what we did with our kids.
Yeah.
That's what we did. We made sure that they had a biblical understanding of God's bow, that he set it in the sky as a covenant, as a commitment that he made to us. But it's also a reminder of judgment, that the Lord does not overlook sin. So anyway, where do we go next, Will the Great?
Let's go to Jerry in Tennessee. Hey, Jerry.
Hello, young people.
Jerry, I feel like you want my job.
How is that? Actually, I think I know.
First you try to co-host. Now you just calling in.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't want your job. I definitely don't. I couldn't do your job.
Notice all my security coming out here. I'm very secure. Go ahead, Jerry. I'm sorry.
I've been thinking about I've been thinking about the Disney situation. I know we're at the end here, and you always have the music playing on me if I call. The Disney situation and how we might have more impact. Just a thought for us. And my overall question here is, what if we prayed for Disney? So this thought's coming from your show this week. And you know that guy, Jack Morris, who the gay community is continually harassing?
No. That name doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, the cake guy. I might be saying his name wrong.
Oh, Jack Phillips?
Jack Phillips.
Jack Phillips. I'm
Gotcha.
so sorry.
No problem.
Jack Phillips, yes. They want him to create something that violates his values. And it's becoming clear to me that we are doing the same thing to Disney. We want them to create stories with good and godly themes.
Oh, wow.
But good and godly stories violate their values. So we're trying to force them to do something they don't want to do, something that they don't believe in. Now, the root cause of the problem is not what they create. That's just their fruit. The root cause of what we're seeing is their lost and godless souls. So I'm just wondering, instead of trying to force them into baking our cake, what if we just started praying for their souls? What if we created a group called A Million Prayers, like the Million Moms, and we focused on praying for these people in these different companies, that God would give them godly wisdom to bless them and their families and to save their souls. Bottom line, we're supposed to make disciples, not good entertainment for us. And if we make disciples of them, we get both. That's all I got. Thank you.
That's really good, Jerry. That's really good. I mean, I don't know that I could add anything to that. I will say, I have prayed for some of the characters over there at Disney, but not the company. Until Monday, Lord willing.
God bless.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American